sermon this week. Can you push that pedal for me? Thank you. My pedal rides away from me sometimes. So, okay, this week in the sermon is going to be about some people being healed this week. Okay, and so the song I thought of was when I was a little girl. My parents were brought up in a Sunday school class that was very large, 500 people in its Sunday school class, and they would have gospel singers come in regularly, once every month or two. We'd have a big singing group, and one of the groups was called the Seago Brothers and Naomi at the time is what they were called. Later on, as some of the older ones died off, and the ones I knew died off, they were just the Seagos, because maybe some of the brothers were gone, and Naomi was still there, and as far as I know, Naomi is still living, and I can still see her sing sometimes. But when they would come to the church, sometimes my dad, he played the guitar in the band up at the front of the Sunday school, like we had everybody playing, during congregationals. Well, that's what they would do. And so we got to know some of these groups, and the Seagos were one of them. And they said, you want to come over to our house for dinner, for lunch after church. And so they did. And this was one of the groups I really remember because I just fell in love. I was just a young 12, 13-year-old girl, and got to see these people that were really famous, you know what I mean? And I know that some of the groups aren't maybe even saved, who knows. But this was a really truly saved group. And they sang a song years ago, so I thought of it when I was looking at what the sermon was going to be this week in Matthew. And I thought of the song, The Hem of His Garments. I went back, and online I could find them, the Seago Brothers and Naomi singing. And it was, like when I was a baby, is when they were singing it. But it was such a blessing. I did that to get all the words. Yeah. And so that's what I'm singing this morning, The Hem of His Garment. But rather grew worse in the Bible, we're told. But when she had heard, she then came to Jesus and found what she needed for body and soul. If I could but touch the hem of his garment, if I could but touch some part of his robe, I know I'd be healed, my sins all forgiven. If I could but touch him, I know I'd be whole. Two blind men sat by the wayside begging, nobody to help them down life's rugged way. Then Jesus came by and heard their sad crying. He touched their blind eyes and he healed him that day. If I could but touch the hem of his garment, if I could but touch some part of his robe, I know I'd be healed, my sins all forgiven. If I could but touch him, I know I'd be whole. One day I sat by the wayside begging, nobody to help me down life's weary way. Then Jesus came by and he heard my sad crying. He reached out his hand and he saved me that day. If I could but touch the hem of his garment, if I could but touch some part of his robe, I know I'd be whole. If I could but touch him, I know I'd be whole.
Amen.
Amen.
Alrighty, so we're looking at Matthew chapter 9.